succeed in convincing women that they are less likely to be geniuses, that they are more likely to struggle with geometry and parallel parking, that their underrepresentation among the ranks of university professors and company executives and prime ministers is a product of their biology. I think we should change the prime minister's bit there. That their brains are wired fundamentally differently from male brains, and that their destiny is to nurture children, pick touchy-feely career paths, adorn themselves to the hilt, totter around in stiletto heels, and shop until they drop, then you are succeeding in diminishing their options, thereby reducing their potential as human beings. Instead of equipping women with much-needed weaponry to counter sexism, you're tying lead weights to their feet. And if you succeed in convincing men that they are innately poorer nurturers, that they lack the ability to multitask, that they have evolved to favor women with hourglass figures, that they have a shortfall when it comes to language use and vocabulary, and that they are hardwired for meanness towards stepchildren and biologically programmed for single-minded career ambition, and that to be manly, they have to be hard, dominant, A-type blokes without much empathy, you're diminishing their options in life and cutting them off from a huge chunk of human experience. Again, you're reducing their potential as people. The views on gender promoted by EP punters, and I give a whole list, including people like Steven Pinker and Desmond Morris, have an anti-feminist impact. One that can have the effect of curtailing the career or ambition or academic ambitions of women, and of curtailing the nurturing ambitions of men, no matter how they try to dress them up. What I've tried to do with this book is to debunk much of the pseudoscientific mythology that stands in the way of female and male progress. The ideas punted by evolutionary psychologists, sociobiologists, and the journalistic praise singers that for evolutionary reasons the minds of males and females belong in different metaphorical planets are simply wrong. There are indeed real differences between the brains of men and women, but these are overshadowed by the similarities. In other words, the innate gap between men and women has been hugely exaggerated to the detriment of both. I'm occasionally asked, usually by people who missed out on feminism's previous wave and have yet to be caught up on the next one, what the hell I'm doing writing a feminist book. Well, I say, I'm a feminist. After which the line of questioning sometimes goes, how can you be a feminist when you're a man? The suggested implication is that the word itself, derived from feminine, precludes the masculine. And I have to admit, in this rather limited sense, the word derived from feminine can be slightly awkward for feminist men. But it's the word we've got, and if occasionally a bit of explanation is required, that's no bad thing. It should be clear from the preceding chapters, well, can't read those now, that issues and questions relating to the future of men are integral part of the feminist earth. Male horizons will be expanded if men are unshackled from the idea that they're inherently rubbish at looking after children, that their capacity for reading other people's emotions and expressing their own is innately limited, and that they are so single-minded that they can't do the multitasking necessary to run a household. And their range of options will also be extended if they can move beyond the idea that their primary role in life is to provide for their wives and families, and their only viable career path is to compete with colleagues on a cutthroat ladder. They'll also be helped in their relationships with women if they can get past the notion that their evolved role in life is to spread their genes as far and as wide as possible, and that their female partner's role in life is to cross her legs and raise the children. And if they can learn to get past the notion that their destiny is to wear the trousers in the relationship, and that their masculinity is tied up with the idea that they need to dominate, they'll do rather better in coping with the changing demands of a modern world. So while feminism is mainly about the progress of women, it also clearly has plenty to offer in terms of the progress of men, which is why it is wholly appropriate that the latest feminist wave welcomes and encourages male participation. What feminism offers both men and women is significantly more expansive notion of their humanity, which is why the word belongs alongside another, humanism. Finally, on a more personal note, I was raised in a nuclear family, by a mother who did not have a job of her own. I was raised in a religion that stressed male leadership under a male savior and a male god. I was sent to all-boys state schools where I learned to keep a stiff upper lip after being caned. Like everybody else, I played what were then boys-only summer and winter sports, and once a week marched around in a khaki uniform in cadet parades and learned to handle guns. Out of school, I became obsessed, which was then another male-only sport, boxing, both as a participant and as a fan. And my maiden career ambition was to be heavyweight boxing champion of the world. That one worked out well. And I didn't have any really close, intimate female friends until I was 17. So by the standards of my generation, I had a fairly typically gendered upbringing. And this is obviously well dug into my psyche because the impact of the first 17 years of life is more deeply implanted than the impact of what follows. Occasionally, I can spot the signs. For example, the only time I cry is vicariously, in movies or when reading novels. But no doubt the subterranean ripples are even more significant and less easily challenged. For example, I would like to be more emotionally engaged. I would like to move beyond the culturally imprinted standards of female beauty I inherited. And I would like to divest myself from notions of success limited to career achievement, sporting prowess, and academic honors. But somehow these things linger. Desire is not enough. I'm not, however, suggesting that in important areas we cannot move beyond the sexism of our upbringing. In my student years, I was first confronted with feminism, which challenged me to change many of my ideas and to accept female equality. But the more profound change came a few years later when I had my first and second children. They were both daughters, and I longed for them to excel in life and not to be held back by the backwash of the sexist culture surrounding them. I also found, a bit to my surprise, that I was quite good with children and that I wanted to play at least an equal role in nurturing them, and so I arranged my life and work accordingly. In addition, I found myself exasperated by the casual prejudices that came my way in playgroups and the like, that as a father I was bound to be incompetent as a nurturer and therefore needed interventions from mums who knew better. It was this exasperation that prompted me to read and write on parenting, which in turn exposed me to the writings on gender differences by evolutionary psychologists and sociobiologists, and so I began to write on that stuff too, which is eventually what prompted this book. The more I read and wrote in this area, the more I realized that human potential is not limited by biology alone. It is also limited by ideas that restrain people. My hope for this book, its purpose really, is to encourage us all to spread our wings.